like to welcome everyone here this morning and remind you to silence your cell phone. Meeting documents are available for review at the end down there next to Commissioner Karski. And Craig or Carol would be available if you need a listening device. So that takes us to first item, consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Then I take a motion to approve the commission minutes from January 9th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is a motion to approve the bills.
Pay the bills.
Second.
Any comments? Commissioner Barth.
I would just point out, as is sometimes the case, there's $2.4 million included here, which is motor vehicle funds, which are forwarded to the state that collected by the county.
Thank you. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item are reports. We have a report from the Register of Deeds with the official statement of revenue collected for December 2017, Minnehaha County Sheriff's Report for December 2017, and the auditor's account with the county treasurer as of December 2017. Those are all available for review. Next item is personnel actions. Consider a motion to approve routine personnel actions.
So moved. Second.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is applications for abatement. There are none. Notices and requests. There are none. Planning and zoning notices. There are none. So that takes us to item 9, a petition for compromise of lien.
Good morning, Melinda Storley, Commission Assistant. Before you is a petition for compromise of lien DPNO 53355, which represents public defender fees in the amount of $588. They're recorded from the period of September 18, 2013 to June 14, 2017. The petitioner is requesting that his name be removed from the joint lien with no payment and that the lien remain in full against his ex-spouse. He and his ex-spouse were divorced on July 9th, 2004.
Are there any questions for Melinda? I don't believe the petitioner is here.
No, he's not available.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Barth.
You know, it looks like at least $450 of this was incurred beforehand, but then paid in full. And so the other ones were all dated after that. Is that?
And they all represent her liens.
Commissioner Karski?
They were like 4 years after the divorce. Am I right on that
Yes.
timing?
Mhm.
I guess the question is, how does that happen? I mean, do we know?
She has incurred the liens after they've been divorced. They all are her responsibility. They're for public defender representation.
But how did his name get on?
What I'm understanding is that when a lien is typically originates like it did in their case when they were married, the names are both put on there, but once they were divorced, they failed to notify so that they could have that changed or removed. And so when the entries are made, they simply pull up by name or social security number and then just continue to attach it as it is without any updates.
So because it's in our database under both their names from way back when,
Yes.
and now something new happens, it just automatically. Okay, so I'm going to make the motion to remove the lien from the petitioner and place it solely on the individual that incurred the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That takes us to opportunity for public comment. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could just identify yourself and give your address, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Joy Tusher, and I live at 2500 West Bethel Place here in Sioux Falls. I would like to thank the commissioners, especially you, Commissioner Barth, for your assistance in granting a permit for the Women's March, which will be taking place this Saturday, January 20th. I would like to take this opportunity to invite all commissioners and Minnehaha County residents to join us. There will be a pre-march gathering at MB, which is located at 300 West 11th Street, from 8 to 10 a.m. The march itself will begin at 10 a.m. at Carnegie Town Hall, which is just up the street from MB, and will end here at the county courthouse. Among our speakers this year is Dr. Laura Renee Chandler, Assistant Professor of History at SDSU. Dr. Chandler lists her areas of research, expertise, and interests as African American social activism, Black transnationalism, feminist history, and America in the world. Those marching will also hear the firsthand immigration and employment challenges of Achut Deng she experienced when she arrived here in our community. When we reach the courthouse, Sioux Falls mayoral candidate Jolene Letcher will send our marchers home with what is sure to be an inspiring speech. Ms. Letcher is the founder of Jolene's Task Force and is also a small business owner. Our march route, as established by the Sioux Falls Police Department in cooperation with Minnehaha County, will be the Eastern Dakota Avenue sidewalks and the adjacent parking lanes. There is also an after-march event at the Icon Lounge hosted by LEAD. Women, our partners, and children will be marching in solidarity with each other and with those marching across the country in recognition that vibrant and diverse communities are the strength of our nation. When women and like-minded people pound the pavement, change follows. This year's march is intended as a celebration of accomplishments achieved over the last year and as a call to action for ending sex trafficking, racial profiling, discrimination based on color, disability, sexual orientation, religion, and immigration status. Also, access to health care, including birth control and maternity care, along with affordable insurance coverage and expanding family leave, voting rights, equal pay, along with equal representation of people of color and of women in state and local government. Of special concern is Medicaid expansion. The estimate is that approximately 50,000 South Dakotans would benefit from it. Many of them have no options for other health care coverage. This year's march will land on the anniversary of the inauguration of President Trump. However, this event will be aimed at advancing the missions of the more than 15 co-sponsoring organizations, as well as the policy agendas of individual marchers. These co-sponsors include Common Grounds Indivisible, 605 Indivisible, Planned Parenthood of North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota, Girl Trek, the Center for Quality, the Spirit of Peace Church. The organizer of Sioux Falls Girl Trek, Taylor Newcomb, says her group is marching to continue the legacy of Black women walking for change, as well as to celebrate all that we have accomplished politically over the last year. Girl Trek is the largest nonprofit and health movement dedicated to African American women and girls. In honor of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, I will end with this quote. "Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest for our rights. We are confident our vision for a large, peaceful, and meaningful march will act as a change agent, not only in our community, but in our world. God bless every veteran who ever served for my right to stand here and speak. Your consideration of my invitation to join us on the march empowers us all. Thank you very much."
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I need to
Commissioner Price.
comment here. I can't take any credit for helping get a permit for the march. That's a city function. but I marched last year, and I hope to be there again this year. Could you repeat the time people need to be?
Oh, excellent. Yes, the pre-gathering is from 8 to 10 a.m. at MB. The march itself begins at 10 o'clock at Carnegie Town Hall. And I mentioned you, Commissioner Barth, because your name came up repeatedly. So I didn't mean any disrespect to the other commissioners who were involved.
I'm flattered. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment today? All right, if not, we'll move on to regular business. Item 10, consider a motion to declare a 2004 Ford Expedition as surplus. Scott Anderson.
Thank you. Scott Anderson, Planning Director. This is a little bit of a housekeeping item. I think it was last week or the week before, you accepted an insurance settlement in the amount of $6,100 for a vehicle that was involved in an auto accident and totaled. The accident occurred on December 11th. And the auditor has informed me that we need also a motion to declare this as surplus, the vehicle, and then to release it to North Star Insurance Company.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Scott?
That would be my motion to declare it as surplus and remove from our capital assets list.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comment? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
you.
Thank you very much. Takes us to item 11, consider a motion to authorize the Highway Department to purchase a 2018 F-350. DJ Boothie.
Morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. During, I think it was the last budget hearing for the 2018 budget, the Commission decided to transfer our shop vehicle over to the Facilities Department, and as part of that request, approved and authorized some funding for the replacement vehicle in the Highway Department. This request is to purchase a chassis for a 2017 F-350 from Sioux Falls Ford, and that will be used to replace the shop truck that will be transferred over to facilities. If you got any questions, I can answer them. The total price right now is $32,243.
Any questions, Commissioner Barth?
DJ, was this on your budget request for this year?
It wasn't initially on the budget request, no, but after the conversations during the budget hearing to transfer the vehicle over to facilities, then it became part of the request.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
So motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to item 12. Consider a motion to authorize the Sheriff's Office Jail Division to purchase a 2018 Chevrolet Express van. Mike McGovern.
Mike McGovern, Sheriff's Office. The jail budgeted for a new van this year to accommodate our growing needs in our transport division. We budgeted $31,000. The total cost of the van we're requesting right now is $29,810. I provided you with all the information I have, and I'm here if you have any other questions.
Any questions for Mike?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I do have a question, I guess.
Commissioner Barth.
How many hours a week is that van in use doing these transports?
That is a good question. I don't have those statistics.
I tell you, the only reason I ask is because I know that at Safe Home, the fellas and gals that are there oftentimes walk down to Labor Ready, which is at 26th and Cliff.
Mhm.
And of course, this kind of weather makes it pretty rough going. I've often wondered if we could find a vehicle to take them down there and drop them off. Anyway, that's the issue I mentioned. We can address that at another time, but
Sure.
Okay. I think we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 13. Consider a recommendation for a bid award to interior technicians for contract cleaning of the Minnehaha County buildings. Mark Krenz.
Good morning, Commission. Mark Krenz, Facilities Department. On December 12th, 2017, the Commission approved a second bid notice for contract cleaning due to the lack of bids on the first go-around. On January 10th of 2018, we held the second bid notice, and we received 4 bids. Interior Technicians, Clean Tech Services Corporation, DNS Cleaning LLC, and Marsden Services LLC. Interior Technicians came in with a low bid at $246,075. The current annual cleaning contract, excluding the public safety building, is annually $194,460. The Facilities Department has personnel savings in the 2018 budget to cover the extra cost of the new contract. I'm requesting a commission approval to award the low bid of $246,075 to Interior Technicians to contract clean the county buildings. Are there any questions for me?
Commissioner Barth? It looks
Is that
like
the s-
everybody has
Is
questions.
that the same as Intech then?
The,
The company, Interior Technicians, is that the same as the company Intech that,
yes.
you know, helps
yes.
recover from floods or whatever?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Benninga?
Mark, what's the addition to include the public safety building? Do you have an idea what that cost is?
Well, it was broken down to the new contract is just over $1 a square foot, so it'd be an additional 35,000 roughly annually.
Commissioner Karski?
12-month contract or any extensions on this? How does that work?
We'll basically enter into a contract where it's either party can terminate the contract at any time. So there's no, it's typically a year, but we set those standards in the bid docs, so that way if we're not satisfied with the contract, then we can get out of it. And then at the end of the year, if we're satisfied, then I believe, to my knowledge, we can just keep rolling over.
Any further questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank
Thank you.
you. That takes us to item 14, a legislative update. Carol Muller.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carol Muller, the Commission Office. Normally, you would see Craig up here at this particular time, but he is driving to Pierre this morning to work on a bill that Minnehaha County has been bringing forward. To update you just a little bit, the 2018 legislative session commenced earlier last week on January 8th. While most bills submitted by state departments are pre-filed before the legislative session, there are bills from legislators, legislative committees, and departments continue to be submitted for through the beginning of February. Craig has gone through and looked at all the bills to date. If we've had concerns that it may relate out to a department, and there were several that he's gone through and checked with. A lot of those related to employment regulations, juvenile justice, emergency management, criminal charges, and law enforcement. So nothing more to report on those at this particular point. The auditor and treasurer are reviewing bills related to tax deed properties, elections, and issuing license plates to determine their stance. And you will be kept abreast of new bills, developments, and status changes once the auditor and treasurer complete their bill review. I do want to mention just briefly about the 90% bill and update you about that. As you recall, you passed a resolution just a few weeks ago that would change the bill, the state law that states that when you bring in a marketing firm or somebody to sell property for the county, that it has to be sold at a minimum of 90% of the appraisal. So that's the challenge that we're looking for, is to remove that 90% so that it creates a fair level between bids and auction, because they do not have the 90% in there. We do have a prime sponsor in the Senate, and Craig is out there working on co-sponsors this week and bringing people on board with that. I do want to make you aware of just one bill that we became aware of last night that will be moving forward. We've been working on ambulances, and funding continues to be a challenge in our county. And we had a meeting about a month ago. Commissioner Benninga and Commissioner Barth both attended at that. And one of the things that came up is that the state law states that townships don't fund ambulances, and many of them do. So we're seeking, this bill will seek permissive language to bring forward so that townships may fund them. It's not required, just may. So we will keep you abreast. I anticipate that you'll be seeing a resolution next week in support of that. We will draft that up, bring that forward, unless you would give me direction not to.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Carol? Commissioner Barth?
I'd just like to comment on that ambulance funding thing. It's not that the townships can't fund ambulances. They can't fund anything other than roads. And so in the past, where they might donate $25 to, somebody's softball team or whatever, the attorneys have determined that that's not permissible. And so while the ambulances are seeking funding, especially from the townships, and they've received it, that apparently is not quite square with what the statute is. And so the bill that's being dropped today, I believe, will give them permission to fund ambulance, which obviously we as a county are contributors to that funding, and it's the more contributors we get, the better for all of us, I think.
Thank you. Any other questions for Carol?
Just a reminder that the legislative books have come in, and we have one in your mailboxes each if you haven't picked it up yet. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 15, liaison reports. Any liaison reports this morning? Commissioner Benninger?
Last week I had and it's literally a privilege, but I had the opportunity to meet with Monty Wannenbach about the IT upgrades and projects that he's working on. Not only does he obviously have a smaller staff, but he's got huge responsibilities with accounting and finance and a lot of other things. I just want to publicly say thank you to him and his staff for what they do, because this is going to streamline and probably save us some labor-saving devices over the years after we get everything installed, if you will. Yeah, excuse me, I have a cold. But anyway, more importantly, they are working diligently to meet the deadlines that they set up, and I think he followed up with our breakfast conversation with an email talking a little bit about that. But if you ever get a chance to take a few minutes to go talk to him and see what they're doing, it would be impressive.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other liaison reports? I would just state that Commissioner Karski and I had a meeting this morning with the Public Defender's Office, and actually Commissioner Benninger and I had an opportunity to meet last week with the State's Attorney's Office, and it's would be a vast understatement to say that there's a lot of stress in our system right now, and we just need to continue to work diligently to try to address, come up with some solutions for how to handle the responsibilities that the county has with the funding limitations that we have. There are no apparently easy solutions to that problem. So,
Madam Chair, I'm forced to respond to that and say again that if the alcohol industry would stop being subsidized by the taxpayer and pay their share, certainly some of those strains in our system could be alleviated.
okay, thank you. Any new business? Any old business? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of South Dakota Codified Law 125-2, Sections 1 and 3.
So move.
For a second? Motion and second, all in favor?
You
Aye.
betcha.
Motion passes unanimously. We will be in executive session shortly. Thank you.